Hello, everyone. It's time for another nice cup of convention tea. Today we have Richie Kabling. He has worked as staff at several conventions, and he's here to tell us our stories. How are you doing tonight, Richie?
Doing great. Despite everything else going on in the world. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, especially because I got a cool guest here on the show.
Oh, thank you very much. Glad to be here.
So, the way I like to begin the show is, of course, asking what was your first anime convention?
Very first anime convention? Oh man, I mean, compared to a lot of my friends, I came fairly late in the game. My first, I guess you can say, anime convention was the 2002 edition of the Metreon Festival anime that was at the Sony Metreon here in San Francisco, California, back before the second floor became a Target. Yeah, I was like, yeah, 2002. So coming up in about 1.5 years would be, I guess, 20 years of going to cons.
Yeah, that's pretty good. There are some people who have longer timelines than that, but that is a pretty impressive timeline. That rivals mine. So, what
Yeah.
was what did you think of the con?
Well, it was a fairly small event, but it was pretty fun. It was I don't remember if it was free to attend or if you had to pay. I think you had to pay something. I don't remember, but all I remember is I met I think it was Kari Walgren who did the voice of Robin. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Uh,
Um,
which
was it Kari Walgren? Which one of Robin?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, Kari Walgren, right? Was it?
I think so.
I
Sounds about
I
right.
I'd look it up right now, but I don't want my keyboard clacking. Funny enough, I would meet her again at CrackCon 2008 or 2008 2018. And she still remembers us meeting the first time at the Metreon, and I told her, I said, yeah, well, now whatever was there is now just a big Target on that second floor. So she's like, oh my gosh.
It's kind of sad because I remember seeing various clips and videos from the Metreon, and it always seemed like an awesome place that I never had the chance to visit.
Yeah, I mean, like the first couple of years was cool, but then after around like 2002, 2003 or so, it started kind of going downhill.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Well, then, when was your first time you actually decided to volunteer or staff at a convention?
That would be Japantown Anime Fair, the very first one, 2003.
Next year.
I remember, yes, working with Ray Nagar, and first thing I did with his con was I staffed the console gaming room. Just got a bunch of consoles together and made sure nobody broke anything. I staffed that from the first three, so 2003, 2005. So 2004, the second one, I helped out with the logistics, so make sure like everything was in the right place. And in 2005, I was actually tried my hand at guest relations. I was the guest handler for Akai Sky. Think they're still doing music. If they are, shout out. Hey, haven't seen you guys in years, but hopefully you guys are doing okay.
So you actually jumped around of different positions at conventions. What is your
Um, yeah, pretty much.
all right. What is your favorite position to run?
Well, I would have to say the video game room because that was the one I did the most years of. Not only did JChat, but also ran AOD's game room from 2006 to 2014, 2015, 2015, and then ran Kraken Con's game room from 2014 to 2018, and then I help out also with Mag West, their game room. Well, I helped out their console game room in 2018, and then last year I ran their LAN PC gaming area. So
Cool. That's a whole load of conventions. And which one was your best experience running a game room?
I would say toss up between AOD and Mag West. AOD because I just had so many years there, and I forged a lot of friendships running the game room and lots of great memories of staffing and running Craig's mystery the Gamers Gauntlet tournament, that very first one, where we revealed the mystery game was Shaq Fu on the SNES, and I was like, anything goes at this point. Just play the game, and whoever wins wins. So that was fun. And I mean, Mag West also amazing community, amazing people who run it. Um, like I had, in the like 3 years I've attended and 2 years I've staffed, like just that event is just so much fun. Like whole weekend. Just I know it's not exactly an anime con, but like, it's video games and music and just loads of just fun, and especially like last year when you had the pool party, that was like really awesome.
Yeah, it's one of those conventions that definitely sounds like that would be one of my favorite conventions if I actually got the chance to hit it up. Not only because a lot of my Northern California friends are there, obviously, but also because the sheer amount of content. It seems to be one of those ones where I'm going to need to be constantly having some caffeine in one hand while I run around the event.
Yeah, pretty much. That's it in a nutshell. I mean, like, just lots to do in that entire weekend. Like I said, musical guests, or we have dealers hall, artist alley slash artist alley. We have the gaming, arcade gaming, PC, console, and then we also have an indie dev showcase. So it's the West Coast edition of Mac Best over in the East Coast, which I still want to go to, but I was planning to go in 2021, but considering the situation right now, we'll see where things go, how things, turn out, this winter. It's just a lot of unknowns right now, but hopefully, uh, once everything gets settled out, I'll be making my way over there just to see, see like, the big show. But definitely planning to go there one of these years.
Me too.
Yeah.
Uh, so, if that was your best memory of running a game room, what is your what is one of the worst memories of running a game room?
Worst memories. Oh my gosh. I mean, this is a little bit of convention tea, so I'll come out with it. So, I believe this was before AOD 2015, where I was gonna step down because I ran the game. I ran that game for nearly 10 years. So I was like, you know what? I'm a choose someone, talk to the higher ups at AOD, and get someone, to take my place. Like I've ran the ship long enough. I mean, I'll still help out, but I'm gonna step back and let someone else take the reins because I've done it long enough. Turns out they already had someone in mind, and while I didn't mind that because the person, I'm not gonna name names, but the person's actually pretty good at what he does, and like I would totally like would have like had him uh like take over for me if they would have let me know in advance. Like they sort of sprung it on me, like, oh, I have a replacement in mind. I'll talk to you guys about it. They say, oh, we already have someone for you, and I was like, what?
Hmm.
So I mean, like, but that's water under the bridge now. I don't blame them. It was just kind of a surprise to me. But I hold no ill will or anything toward anyone at AOD. I still attended like the last couple of years that they had the convention. So, like I said, no hard feelings or anything like that. It was just more of a shock, if anything. Like, oh, you guys had someone. It would have been nice if would have let me know, hey, we're thinking of having so and so take over for you, and I would be like, oh yeah, he sounds he's legit. Like, yeah, definitely. But it
So
is
more
what it is.
communication issue rather than like a proper drama.
Yeah, yeah, it was just a communication issue. Like I said, like looking back, it wasn't like a huge like I wasn't personally hurt by anybody. Like, it's like they made a decision, what, cool. I mean, they still let me, run the PC gaming area for 2015. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that one last year and then. So I mean it'll turn out well.
That's good. That's what's most important.
Yep.
If you've worked with so many cons, what has actually been your favorite con to work with?
Ooh, I mean, like really it's toss up between um not to say that any of the cons that I've worked with aren't like good people to work with. I've worked with a lot of good people over the cons I worked for. Um, but I don't know if I can choose one right now. But if I had to, it would be Kraken Con. Because yeah, the heads of Kraken Con are very wonderful people, and just so fun to hang out with. And one of them still ships me with Craig. Even though it's very clear that I am in a living relationship with somebody, not Craig. But no, it's all jokes aside though. Like it was a really small con, and like despite um, all the setbacks and stuff that they had to go through with like planning and everything. Like we still managed to do some pretty good shows. Heck, we held a couple of events on the USS Hornet, a aircraft carrier. Okay, we held a convention on an aircraft carrier.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah. Um, That was one of the other things I forgot to mention too. Is when KrakenCon was on the USS Hornet, I actually because we couldn't really have a game room, or we didn't really have a game room plan for that year, I ran the Concoli themed escape room uh, during the entire convention, and then of course all the Concoli cosplayers came out in force, and I also got at the time I was working at Wargaming, so I've got the chieftain, who's a very well known personality there. He's the the military historian over for the North American branch of Wargaming, and he came out. He did a panel. Got to introduce him to my friends. So it was really cool, just having all that there, and it was really cool. Like I was just like super into Concole at the time, and like of course I had my Admiral get up. My friend Emily came through as Congo, and we both did the escape room. It was so much fun. And then like, of course, getting to see like Tiffany Grant again, because the last time I saw her was the second JTAP back in 2004, and seeing her again, she still remembers me from that. And then getting to meet the voice of Steven from Steven Universe. What's his name? His name slips my mind at the moment, but I got to meet him too, and he was just like the sweetest kid. Like we were just I was taking a break, and he was there in the little like staff area, and we were just hanging out talking about Steven Universe and stuff, and it's like how much of an impact that show's made on everyone, and yeah, just getting to hear his little insights and stuff. And yeah, I told him, I said, man, if you're ever here in the city, man, it's like, look me up, I'd love to show you around.
How much do you know about how the events on the Hornet actually got set up? How much involvement did you have rather with getting that set up? Because I'm curious how you would logistically get a convention onto a museum essentially.
That I wasn't really a part of, like that kind of planning process, but the Hornet does host a variety of stuff on their on at the museum on the ship. They've hosted, like they host like like New Year's galas, and haunted ship tours. Of course, that's one of the big draws. We even like even had I'm trying to think. I mean, aside from even like NVIDIA threw a land party on the Hornet. Like they threw a land party, like I forgot how many people it was, like 500 people or something, on a historical naval ship, and somehow piped all the electricity, piped fat internet connection, and people were gaming, and it was just like all kinds of awesome. So I mean, the Hornet does, to in order to offset some, I guess some of their costs of maintaining the museum, is they're open for events. I mean, I keep telling Craig, we need to hold one of your balls on the Hornet, so I have an excuse to play "Take My Breath Away" on the playlist. Make a Top Gun theme.
Oh yeah, I'll show up in my Admiral uniform. This will be amazing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The glasses and everything.
Yeah. When I forgot that there were events there going to the Kraken Con, and it just got me on that mindset of like, oh man, I gotta ask more questions about that. And I may have to talk to some of the other staffers about the whole process of getting the Hornets to be a convention site, because that just sounds so amazing and so different from other conventions.
Yeah, because I mean, not only is it a unique venue, but you're on history. You're on like a ship that fought in World War II.
Yeah.
You're on the ship that picked up the guys from the Apollo 11 mission. That's like history right there. So not only do you get to hold the event, but the Hornet will also like open up the museum tours for like people who are attending the convention, and they got like a kind of I don't know if it's 2-for-1 deal or something, but which is really cool. Like not only getting to partake in an anime con on the thing, but you can also like, oh cool, I'll go take a quick tour of the ship too. Like that. I mean, like that's just like incredible. Like yeah, you can do that.
So going back a few years, you
Hmm.
said you worked, a little bit registration, a little bit here and a little bit there. I want to
Hmm.
know, were there any newbie mistakes you made that learned from and that helped you become a better staff member?
Yeah, there was one newbie mistake I made running the game room. Like I said, because I had the most experience in that, is not holding tournaments one year, only because I didn't feel like we were big enough. But
Mhm.
that was like a really big complaint that the convention got. Like, what were the tournaments? Like, how come no one's holding tournaments? We need tournaments and stuff. And I was like, okay, yeah, that needs to happen. Even though like it was a smaller, it's like the game room was a bit smaller back then. It's like I guess people want to compete. for prices and whatnot. So I was like, okay, so looks like there's enough of demand for it. So it's like, yeah, we need price support, and people want to compete. So okay.
And would you have any advice for anyone starting out right now?
Starting out right now. Okay, so
Okay,
it's a yeah.
just obviously this whole era aside, let's just say hypothetically there was no virus, life was just regular conventions. What
Mhm.
advice would you give?
Okay, well, I mean, like even if pandemic aside, is like you want to keep your equipment clean, because you're gonna have a lot of people, who don't bring in their own controls and stuff like handling your equipment. So invest in like hand sanitizer, cleansing wipes, stuff like that. Because you know, pandemic aside, you don't want to spread con crud through your equipment. Also, compared to how it was about only 15 years ago to now, a lot of games now require or some sort of internet connection or something.
Mhm.
Um, so just keep that in mind of what you want to feature at your event. Um, I mean, fighting game stuff like you always want to make sure they're running like like the latest patches. You have all the DLC. I mean, it is a little bit of an investment, but trust me, like you don't want to show up at a con with your Switch and a copy of Smash Ultimate only have like 8 characters unlocked. Like you want to have full on like unlocks. 'Cause everyone wants to play their character, and if you only have a Switch with like 8 characters unlocked, chances are no one's gonna want to play the tournament because
Yeah, you're missing out.
their character's not there. Yeah. So always make sure have all DLC, all the character unlocks. When writing up tournament rules, usually what we do is emulate like Evo's rules because they're pretty solid and like they're I would say the gold standard. I mean I'm not a very big fighting game person myself, so like I'm sure someone in the comments or someone's gonna like kind of challenge me on that. In which case, like, hey, it's like I understand I'm not a fighting game person, but usually like the rule sets that Evo has for their tournaments, like it's just pretty solid, and that's what like that's what we want to emulate. So like so it's fair, because those rules are designed to be like it's like the biggest tournament in the world, and or one of the biggest tournaments in the world. And of course, like their rule sets are designed for that. So, adapt it for a smaller event. But like I said, I'm not a huge fighting game person. So like, if like there's a different way you do it, like, hey, like I'm open to ideas. Like, if this rule set works better than the evil rule set, like let me know. Also another thing too is um be friends with tournament organizers because they know what they're doing and they've got experience. So in the game room that I had a couple of experienced TOs on my staff, and or they come and volunteer, and I let them say, yeah, you know what, you want to run the tournaments, you know what you're doing. I'll let you handle it. If there's anything that requires like my intervention, like a dispute or anything, let me know. Otherwise, like you got the experience running tournaments, and I will leave. I will just defer everything to you. And like all the time, it like works because they know what they're doing. They work with the community. They know the game in and out, and having like a good tournament organizer will help your game room, especially if you're especially if you got like a lot of people who we have a cross audience, like so like people who go to anime cons, yeah, they're also like pretty good at like Marvel vs. Capcom, or it's like a big fighting game player or whatnot. So like you want to have if you want to attract that crowd too. And also like there are some players who like, oh yeah, like X Con is coming up and they got a pretty good tournament set. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go buy a badge and enter in the tournament. And they may or may not participate in the rest of the con. Be nice if they did, but even if they didn't, that's still a badge sale. So you want to play to that advantage.
And I've met people like that over the years who are very much there for the tournaments and less for everything else.
Yeah, and you know what? That's cool. I mean, like there are still people who are still participating in the event. It's still another warm body. It's still another, it's a number in your attendance. And who knows? Maybe said person might, you know, be at a con and discover something new. Like, oh, hey, they got this cool merch in the dealer's room, or like, oh, they're showing this. They got this panel on fighting games, or I got this panel on something else I'm interested in. I didn't know it was, it was at this con. I'll go check it out. It's just a lot of positives.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So you've been to a lot of conventions, both as a staff and as an attendee.
Hmm.
So what are some of your favorite, convention moments? What are some of your favorite things that you've attended?
Okay, so I got to give a shout out to Fanime Cafe at FanimeCon. I've been attend. It, I have had an unbroken streak since 2007. Not counting this year due to unforeseen circumstances, but like even from day one, like it was just something I wanted to check out, and major near and dear to my heart, as some people know, and they still are. Um, all because of one A and B that I saw at the SF State Anime Club back in 2002, but that's a story for another day. And then when a good friend of mine in 2009 like really like took over, and she and her staff like totally like changed it to have to as close as the Akihabara experience as you can get. I don't have a benchmark, unfortunately, because I've never been to Akihabara. I was supposed to go again, global situation, but you know, like going to that cafe every year is one of my highlights of my Fanime trip, whether I'm staffing or attending. And 10 years ago, I went through some horrible stuff in my life. I went through a horrible breakup, and some of the people that were there for me were members of Fanime Cafe, and you know who you are, and I'm still eternally grateful that you guys were there for me that day. And like and I brought my partner to Fanime Cafe for his well, he's been before, but he's never been with me for his second time. And a lot of the veteran Fanimates were there, and seeing, they were very happy to see me in another relationship and seeing me happy. And I'm like, you know what? I mean, if it wasn't for you guys, like, back in 2011, like, who knows where I would have been. And like, you guys were there for me. So like, thank you. So that's why like Fanime Cafe always be, no matter what, even if I only go to Fanime for one day, Fanime, I will always block out time to go to Fanime Cafe. As long as they're there, I'm there.
I'll agree. I've had very positive experiences with the Fanimade Cafe as well. And I'm not just saying that because I'm friends with some of the people on the staff either. It's just a generally well run cafe.
Yeah, it's really evolved into something like great. And I know, like, I mean, like, the line itself can just attest to that.
Oh, for sure.
So,
So we're getting close to our end time, but there's always one major thing I like to ask people as well, which is, as an attendee, what is some of the how about one negative experience you've had? You can omit as many names as you need to.
okay, well, let's see. Negative experience as attendee. I mean, like, if I say LineCon, there's a lot of things
So,
that can go, but I would have to say one of the absolute just worst times was Anime Expo 2007, the first and only AX I've been to,
oh,
with
that's one to go to.
yeah, with the lines for the cast of Haruhi. Like, I remember, I think it was like Saturday of that AX weekend, and we lined up, I think, at like 5:36 in the morning to get autographs from the Haruhi cast. And we're waiting in line. I think the autograph session was like at 11 or 12 noon or something, I forget. And we were just waiting in line, like, of course, I had people go for breakfast runs and stuff like that. But yeah, I was standing in line for, a good 6 hours. I mean, there were some people who were camped out there since 3 in the morning, 3 in the morning. So like, that's dedication. Um, and we were just, waiting. Like, it's like, cool. I had my, my Haruhi box set. I was ready to get autographed by both the English and the Japanese cast. I was like, oh, it's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna display it. And what happened was there was a miscommunication in the scheduling. So that the Haruhi voice actresses had to uh they had to like go to some press conference or something, and so they're like, we're sorry, you guys are gonna come back tomorrow. There's been a miscommunication in the schedule. And of course, a lot of us weren't very happy about it. I mean, like, we were standing in line for like 6 hours plus, and we're like, oh, now we got to come back tomorrow. Great, there goes Sunday morning. So Sunday morning, same stuff. Go back early. Go back in line early. And then what happened was, I don't know what went on behind the scenes or whatnot, but so about an hour or an hour and a half before they started letting people in, they were, you know, they're like, okay, so this is how it's gonna go. You're gonna go in. We will have no personal items signed, no photographs. You can't talk to them. We will provide posters. They'll sign it, get in and get out. And we were just like, what? So we wasted 2 days standing in line for hours, and then now we can't get our personal items signed. We can't even talk to them. Tell them thank you, say hey, it's great to meet you. Not even that. Couldn't even take pictures. Nothing. And at that point, I was like, forget it. I'm done with this. I'm done with this event. I was like, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to come back to AX, and I haven't been back since. I don't know what communication happened or miscommunication, or if it was because of Bandai or the agents, or if the voice actors themselves weren't feeling it. I don't know. That's something that that's something like it's whatever.
Hmm.
But it was just like it left a really, really sour taste in my mouth about AX. And I know it's like the big West Coast convention, but hearing the stories from like even like a couple years ago where like the lines were just like ridiculously long. Like one of my buddies, like he was in line, he pre-regged, and he was standing in line because they're doing the security checks, and of course they had that checkpoint, and he was like in line, and some homeless dude like started like aggressively going toward him, like about to like look like he was about to stab him. My buddy was like, "F this, I'm gone." He just ate his $80 loss, didn't even come back the next day. He was like, I'm done. It's not worth it. And like my buddy's like, he's been going to AX for like years. Like he's been going since like, you know, freaking Anaheim, even before Anaheim days.
Hmm.
And at that point he was like, I'm done. Like, and I mean, like, I don't know. Like if I go back to AX, like I'm gonna have to save up at least 2.5 grand just to get the full experience. And even if I want to, it's just that one. I know a lot of people say that, one experience, does not a bad con make, but I'm sorry, that was like huge impact. Like, in fact, one of my very good friends broke down crying because she wanted to meet the Haruhi cast, and it was her birthday, and they couldn't even give her that. Oh, and the kicker is they cut the line at 100 people. I was number 103 in line.
Oh, jeez.
So I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done. It's like, I know you guys go to AX, and I know it's like kind of your hometown con and everything, but for me, like, I don't know if it's worth it. Because I mean, like, to meet the maybe to go to like a concert or something, like, yeah, I'll pay the extra, but it's just like trying to get a hotel room and not transportation, but hotel room, and of course having, like, do I want to deal with lines in the LA heat? Like I kind of have some claustrophobia, and I look at the AX crowds and I'm like, I don't even know if I can even handle that.
Expo
Like,
itself is its own experience and honestly its own discussion. Uh,
yeah.
I don't like ending on a sour note like that. So, are you a autograph collector?
I have a few autographs. Whenever I try to excuse me. So so I tried, I try to hit up the guest autograph sessions for people I want to see. Um yeah, so what about autographs? Like
What is your
Trout,
one in your collection?
what is one of my collections? So it's in a box somewhere, but I have a um autograph of from the English voice actor Max Middleman of Saitama from One Punch Man, and he signed my Nendoroid, and he wrote 100 100 push-ups, 100-kilometer run that every day, and like I was just like kind of a source of like inspiration. Like I have it, I should probably take it out of the box and display it somewhere, but just him writing that quotation on the box is sort of like an inspire it like it has that inspiring feeling, like especially in these times now, like
Yeah.
like just sometimes you guys just one punch your way through everything, and like do that 100 100 and 100 every day, give it 100%, or as my late uncle Mike says, 120%, because he never believed in 100%. He always wanted to go the extra mile. But yeah, no, it's like, and like I have some really cool stuff autographed. Like like I said, I have a StarCraft 2 box autographed by like some of the voice actors from AOD, and there was a picture of me getting choked out by Neil. I think it was Neil Kaplan. I think, yeah, he was choking me out for some reason. Pretty funny. Anyway,
All right, so that's a better note to end on.
yeah.
I would ask what your next convention you're working at is, but that's obviously not an option right now, unfortunately. But if anyone wants to follow you anywhere, do you have any social medias you'd like to talk about right now?
Yeah, I'm mostly on Instagram at Your Magical Senpai, or SENPAI, not SEMPAI, because I've taken a liking to that character. She's cracks me up so much. I'm also on Twitter at magical_senpai. And then I go by Magical Senpai most of the gaming stuff. Dr. Teitoku on like some of the other gaming stuff. So, but yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's been great. And thanks again. And hopefully, when the convention season comes up again, maybe we can have another talk.
No, definitely.
All right. Until next time, I hope you enjoyed your tea. We'll be back soon with another interview so that you can enjoy more convention tea.
Good night, everybody.